Welcome to Evolution Business Development. I am your host, Isis Latham. So if you ever wonder why Evolution Business Development, well, this is where you get to find your peeps, ignite your mind, and grow your business. And we're going to be doing this today with Gina Tabasso. So Gina has 30 plus years of in-house experience in B2B, that's business to business if you're new to this world, marketing for more than 25 manufacturers, distributors, trade, and industrial companies. And Gina is a servant leader who empowers B2B companies through realistic and proven marketing strategies in incisive, data-driven decisions to elevate their brand, maintain a strong digital presence, and generate quality leads to nurture. Now, just a few of her accomplishments. She has worked for a manufacturer, and she worked for the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. She has a Six Sigma green belt. We're going to hear more about this today. And in 2024, she will have her black belt. She's also welding certified. She managed a machining, welding, and construction trade magazines as well. What an incredible background you have, Gina. What led you to Evolution Business Development Group today?
Well, it's all about Isis and also the people who attend this meeting. It's just a wonderful, nurturing group of people who are so supportive, and they have shared their specializations and talent with me, and I want to share mine back with them and see how we can help each other.
A great reason to be here because it really is in community where we get challenged and given an opportunity to excel. The last time we had you featured here at Evolution Business Development, it was apparent that you were greatly loved, not just for what you have done, but what you're doing now. We talked about branding and marketing, and you made such an impact on people that we found that we wanted to have you back again for part two. Tell us a little bit about your journey. There's been some changes even during that time period, right? Everything's always evolving. That's why we're called Evolution Business Development.
Yes, we're all works in process and in progress, and life is a process. So that's part of what I love about Lean Six Sigma is it's all about process improvement. And most of us on our journey are invested in self-improvement as well. So you're doing Lean Six Sigma even though you don't know it. But my journey, I went to college. Back then, they didn't call it marketing, they called it advertising. So I was an advertising major. And when I graduated, I thought I was going to go work for an agency. Well, the agencies weren't offering much money. I would have started as a junior copywriter making nothing. So a manufacturer offered me a job in-house. They made vibration analysis equipment for large rotating machinery for preventive maintenance. So they would touch a wand to the machine and it would predict if the bearings were wearing down so you could replace the bearings before the machine shut down and lost production. So that was the start of my journey, and I never looked back. I made a few deviations. I wanted to get financial industry experience. I wanted higher ed experience. I wanted B2C and CPG experience. So I worked for some companies, and what I found is that I don't like being a little cog in a big wheel. And if I disappear tomorrow, the machine keeps on grinding. So I went back to my roots, which is small to mid-sized manufacturing companies. And I've worked for quite a few of them. Recently, the manufacturer I was working for, I'm still working for them, but my role is ending. They eliminated my position and a few others. They're hiring me back as a consultant, so they will be one of my clients, but I am going out full time with my consulting business.
I want you to talk to us a little bit more about that because I think we're seeing a trend where companies are moving towards consultants. The independent or the employee is also moving towards consultancy where they're going out and doing this. How did you make the decision for yourself that this was a good move rather than going out and seeking another position in another company? where, you wouldn't be the little cog, but you might be the big cog.
It's a lot of what we talked about before this meeting started, being pushed in certain directions and being getting those subtle nudges. So my current boss hired me and knew that he was going to sell the company in 3 to 5 years. So he encouraged me last year to form my own consulting business, do it on the side, and ramp it up so that when this role ended, I could go full time and not have to look for another job. And my last job of my life, he said, I want you to be self-sufficient. Well, it happened a little sooner than expected, but I had my full-time job and one client. And now I'm going to need probably 3 to 5 clients to replace my income. And I do have some proposals out and some meetings pending. But what I decided to do is he sort of made me promise him. He's a friend of mine. And he said, don't go out there and start applying for jobs. I know you are risk averse. You have this false sense of security. He said, you can make it. You can make double what I'm paying you. And he said, I have faith in you, have faith in yourself. So I promised him that I would give it time. And so that's what I'm doing. I just decided to go all in, and I feel the sense of peace. It's the weirdest thing. Every other time a job has ended, there's been this panic and this obsessive looking for the next job, like 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. Um, and now I feel this calm and this peace, and like my network has me and people have my back, and I'm gonna be okay. And it's just a miracle.
Yeah. You actually seem to me, just my perception anyway, more relaxed than I've seen you before.
Thank
And,
you.
there's something wonderful that happens, especially to women's faces when they become more relaxed. There's like this vibrancy, there's like an instant lift that comes over us. You said a couple of things, though, that I want to come back to, because I believe that there are a lot more people like you, Gina, who maybe not in every way, but they are also risk averse, and they would completely resonate with what you just said. What do you think was different? And, spell it out, because somebody who's feeling that fear may not have heard you the first time you said it. So
Mhm.
spell out for us, what is it that occurred in the leading up to process that you feel was so different? Because lots of bosses have told people, be ready. Lots of bosses have mentored people to be independent, but lots of people, especially those who are risk averse, do not take it well when that moment actually comes.
Um, I have a somewhat unique situation, and what really helped me, and I don't think I'd be on this path if it weren't for these things that happened in my journey.
Mhm.
My last job prior to the one I have was as a consultant with the Manufacturing Extension Partnership in Ohio. So what that helped me do is learn how to be a consultant, but I still had a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks and paid time off and 401(k) and all that stuff. So I didn't have to take full risk and start my own business, but I became Sandler sales trained. I have my bronze certification. I did a year of Sandler sales mastery. I learned how to do discovery calls and pitch decks and upfront contracts and pendulum theory and questioning strategy and budget steps. I learned how to write contracts, how to manage subcontractors, project manage multiple clients at the same time. So it was like I got my training, I got my feet wet. And then having this boss who allowed me during my workday to go to networking meetings and meet with clients, because he knew my work ethic and that I wouldn't abuse or take advantage of that, and that I was still going to do a good job for him. That helped. The other biggest thing, if you're not in my situation, that I can recommend for you that changed my life was an organization called SCORE, SCORE. They are national, they're a nonprofit, they are funded by the government,
Mhm.
and they provide mentors and coaches for free. And I was given a SCORE coach in September. He helped me do a 45-page business plan. all of my financials, get my accounts set up, get my LLC. He helped me write my contracts, find legal assistance. He helped me get a free accounting and bookkeeping software set up and running. Um, I couldn't have done it without him. All the things that you're not good at, like I'm great at marketing, but I'm not great at taxes, for a business. I don't know about that. I'm not an attorney. And all those unknowns that scared me. And he made me feel not afraid. He made me feel like I have someone who will help me with that. And it's not even going to cost me anything. And it makes you braver. I think if you have people who have your back when you're in a scary situation, they make you feel like you're not going to fall, that they're there to help you and give you a hand up.
I wrote down the three different areas that you spoke about because it just kind of in recap, you talked about these developing the skills, right? You learned the Sandler system. You learned how to market yourself basically because you had been doing it for other companies. Then so you learned those skills, and then you found times and opportunities to utilize those skills with the networking of opportunities. And then you also went out and learned the things that you didn't even know to ask.
Mhm.
And that's where mentorship comes in. And what an exemplary um, guide you've been for other people to be able to follow in your footsteps. Um, those are the things that we have to learn in business. And whether you start the business first and then have to learn it, or you are an employee and you start learning them then so that you can start the business, it's going to take it regardless. But it created a sense of peace for you that now gives you choice. What
I think
what an amazing journey.
one thing I would recommend is I feel like no matter what you do, you need someone who you can talk to in great length and depth and detail about your business, who's not part of your business. Because sometimes you're so close to it, you can't see what you can't see because you don't have that objectivity. And like my score mentor had that. Some of my network has that. Like, here's an example. I'm a marketer. I know how to market. I'm using Octopus tied into LinkedIn, got a list of manufacturers, reaching out to them. I'm networking. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I had a conversation with someone in my network yesterday, and they said, who do you want to meet? Who do you want intros to? And I told him, and he said, what's your challenge? And I told him, I said, manufacturers aren't out networking. They're on the shop floor making stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm having trouble finding them. I said, and then in groups, when I ask who knows a manufacturer, no one does. But they're people. They have lives, they have families. Someone has to know these people.
Mhm.
So then we started talking about my Lean Six Sigma green belt and my black belt. And a light went off last night. It's the Lean Six Sigma people.
Mhm.
They're the ones. And so last night I joined every Lean Six Sigma group on LinkedIn and Facebook that I could find. And I'm going to be in there posting because those people are working with manufacturers day in and day out. And it was right in front of my face. I mean, I have a Lean Six Sigma green belt. I'm working on my black belt. And I didn't think that I don't need to meet manufacturers. I need to meet those people.
Oh, isn't that brilliant? And that was one of the things that we really flushed out in our last conversation was that you bring to the table something that's different than anybody else. So let's talk about that, right? This Lean Six Sigma. Once it's explained to you, it becomes so obvious. But isn't that the way everything is, right? So can you help those who may not recognize this or understand it
Mhm.
to simplify it and make sense of it?
And also why I do it. So it's
Mhm.
really interesting, even if you're not in manufacturing, every one of us in this room, what we do for our clients is process improvement. The goal is to somehow improve them and their processes to make them more money, make them more successful. And honestly, that's all Lean Six Sigma is. It's a set of methodologies and tools that the goal is to reduce defects, reduce errors, minimize variation, and increase quality, efficiency, productivity, customer satisfaction. So you can take that and apply that to any process. Manufacturers use that on their shop floor, on their production line, but I can take that sensibility and apply it to my marketing process, because a process is a process. And so it's crazy. Once you learn Lean Six Sigma, you can't unsee it. And all of a sudden you filter the world through it, like silly things. The way I feed my cat in the morning, I was realizing how inefficient I was. I'm picking this up, I'm taking this over there, I'm filling this, I'm putting that back down, I'm taking the bag from the closet, putting it on the counter, filling it up, putting the bag back in the closet. Dummy, pick up the cat food bowl, take it to the closet, fill the bowl, and put the bowl back down. You don't need to take each to the counter and then put each back. It decreases your process by 50%. It takes half the amount of time, half the amount of steps. So that's just a little
Tina, I
example.
need you to come to my house and show this to my family. I am a person that believes in taking one trip and that's it. And if you're going to go up the stairs, take a look and see what's around the stairs. Bring it with you.
And
And they don't get it.
yeah, they don't. And it's, sometimes you need the training. You need to learn how to see the world differently. We see it the way we see it through our own frame of reference. And that's why I think Six Sigma really opened my eyes up. It's really about quality control. The Six Sigma, what that means, it's a goal of achieving near perfection where you only have about 3.4 defects per million. So if a company produces 1 million pieces of widgets, there should only be 3.4 of them that are defective. And right now, defect rates for most manufacturers and people in our daily lives is much higher than that. So it's kind of a process of how do we get better at what we do.
I have a question for you. It might seem like you're going off on a side topic, so bring me back if we need to. Um, I'm thinking about people who have learning differences. Do they do better in a Six Sigma kind of an environment, or is that too challenging? And do you have any experience with this?
I don't. But I can say, not in a work environment,
Mhm.
but one of my partners in the past, both of his sons were autistic.
Yeah.
And they, of course, did very, very, very well in a kind of regimented, regulated, repeatable environment where there wasn't a lot of variation. And that made them feel safe and secure. And so I think, I could see potentially that someone could be very good at Six Sigma if they were a different kind of learner, because it does give you that kind of framework and discipline. It is a bit complicated on the top level. Like if you're someone implementing it, it's incredibly complex with, Gantt charts and Gemba walks and all these technical things, lots of data. But on the shop floor, once people are trained how to use it, it becomes repeatable and easy to implement.
Okay.
It's really a top-down mentality.
Interesting. Okay. And I can completely see that on shop floor it would be. And I was curious, but it sounds like it's something that's still out to be discovered. Does it work as a learning, as a something to be learned by people who have maybe on the spectrum?
Well, the foundation of Six Sigma is called, it's something called DMAIC, and it's
Say it one more
defined.
time.
DMAIC. It's an acronym, DMAIC.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So that is the entire Six Sigma process. You start out with defining the project, measuring the project, analyzing the project. How do we improve the project? Let's implement that. And then how do we control it? How do we continue to make it realizable and implementable.
Mm,
Um, so that's, I mean, I could see that framework
yeah,
even, I didn't know Lean Six Sigma when I was with those boys,
yeah.
but I think it would have been interesting, an interesting experiment.
What led you to Lean Six Sigma?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was non-manufacturing.
Mm,
Believe it or not, I worked for Case Western Reserve University, and in their Weatherhead School of Business, they taught Lean Six Sigma. So Case said if we're teaching it, we should adopt it.
mhm.
So our department adopted Lean Six Sigma, and everyone was required to get a yellow belt. And then I was a manager, and managers were required to do 3 Lean Six Sigma projects per year. And I can give you examples of that in an office environment. Um, a graphic designer is using InDesign. He designs a PDF of a flyer, prints it out, walks it over to his coworkers, has a bunch of people edit it, mark it up, write in pencil, put post-it notes on it, bring it back to him. He then inputs all the changes into the system, allowing for all these opportunities for error. You know, he misreads someone's handwriting. He forgets to do this. He hits a typo on the keyboard. So I did a Lean Six Sigma project where I utilized something called InCopy, which is a module that plugs into InDesign, where when the graphic designer's in there designing, a copywriter or editor can go into this design file at the same time and make direct edits to the design file.
Mm.
It saved so much time, printing costs, money, decreased error rates. Another example was a printer. At Case Western, we printed a lot of materials for students, especially in the IT department for their onboarding. And they had used the same printer for like 10 years. Is this the best printer? Is it most efficient? Is it most cost effective? Is it best quality? So I did a Lean Six Sigma project and I saved them money, improved quality, improved delivery times. And so you see these impacts and outcomes. So then I did 6 projects for them. Fast forward many years, my current boss wants me to get my black belt. So he paid for me to get my green belt last year.
Mm.
And he's currently paying for me to get my black belt because they're a Lean Six Sigma shop. Now, since my role is ending, he's such a beautiful human being. One of the things he agreed to do was to continue to pay for my Lean Six Sigma courses, which are very expensive.
Yeah.
And so he's going to allow me to finish my black belt on his dime.
Wow.
And so I'm going to keep working on it.
Well, I think on this note, what I'd like you to do is share with people before we wrap up our interview for our mastermind, which is super fun, and Gina's going to be leading that. What I'd like for you to do is let people know. I always ask, how do they orbit in your world, right? Like they just want to be around you. They like this Gina vibe that you're giving off. And then maybe they are ready to take the leap and they want to work with you specifically. What are the 2 different ways that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I can share that information. I'll actually drop it into the chat.
Okay.
I am really a super user of LinkedIn. So connecting me with on LinkedIn and messaging me there is great. If you're not a LinkedIn user, I will share my website where you can fill out a form that will go directly to my email. And I will also share my email address for my consulting business, and you could contact me any of those ways.
Now, so that anybody who's just hearing this and they don't have the notes with them, can you just tell us what your website is called?
Yes, it's Barracuda, Barracuda, the letter B, the number 2, the letter B, barracudab2b.com.
Perfect. Perfect. And then, of course, you can find Gina Tabasso on LinkedIn under her name, easy to find. All right. Well, you were a delight, as I expected you would be. A great conversation today. And for those of you that are listening to this and you're thinking, why would I want to participate in a networking group that has a mastermind? Well, it might be something like this. You're tired of the same old networking meetings. You just can't help but glaze over once the 30-second introductions start and you're feeling lost in a sea of online meetings. Well, this is a place where you're going to have your voice heard and you're going to get to be part of the conversation. So join us on our mastermind, and we're going to be seeing you on the other side, Gina.
See you there. Thank you.
Does not want to stop recording.